Uta, when asked what her dream is, she's like, I don't know. I have no clue. Mahalo, and welcome back to another review of UN Idol Precure episode 11. And honestly, I feel like a silly Billy for not noticing that the title is also related to the ending song. That's on me. I should have seen that coming. Nonetheless, we are moving into our first group attack episode, really kind of building the team together. Usually that's at the 10 or 11 episode mark, so we're right on schedule. And it's a good episode. I really like it. I also think this is one of those episodes that kind of makes me appreciate Precure as a franchise as a whole, but I will get to that. We start off with Uta and the gang running into a broadcast club member who's in Uta's class, but has also done something with Kokodo recently, which allows us to tie into the previous episode, and Kokodo gets to shine a little bit, which again, one of the things that I really like about this season is that they're making sure that each character in the episode is relevant. Mind you, the team is still relatively small, there's only 3 of them, but I feel like every member of the group does something substantial in the episode, and Kokodo is more important towards the top of the episode, while we have Nana more important towards the end, and I like the balance. I like the thought process on this. Nonetheless, the thing that Kokodo ended up arranging is that she submitted something for the broadcast club to broadcast, and that was the CD, and more specifically, Idol song that they decided to record last episode, so it keeps it tied together. I like that it feels part of the story. I'm so glad that Precure as a franchise and just media in general is continuing to move away from like making sure episodes severely stand alone. I gotta thank streaming to that because I hate it when they float. Nonetheless, this all kind of steamrolls into this conversation, which is the main theme of the episode, which is everybody's aspirations, or more specifically, their dreams. Nana hits us with the fact that she wants to be a famous pianist when she grows up, which makes sense. That's pretty consistent from what we've seen. Now, Kokodo's is interesting. Kokodo says that she just wants to be like a successful dancer or something, which is a very interesting choice given where we left her character off after her debut. Like, it's interesting. Like, I feel like they just did this because they needed both Kokodo and Nana to have pretty structured dreams or like have a better idea of what they want compared to Uta. But it doesn't make sense because she literally was like, I don't want to be part of the dance club. I care more about this whole idol business thing. Like, it would make more sense, like, in series if her just, like, if she wanted to be, like, a manager or something for idols, if not just being the idols themselves. But, like, that's the only nitpicky thing I have here where it's, like, I guess, like, she does like dance and she does it as, like, a hobby on the side, but she doesn't do it as, like, her main aspiration by any means. Otherwise, she would have been the dance club. And then we have what I think is probably my favorite way we've handled something like this thus far, which is Uta, when asked what her dream is, she's like, I don't know. I have no clue. In the series I'm going to compare this to, and not like in a sort of like which one's better, but in a very interesting move, is this reminded me as being kind of the opposite of Go Princess, where you have Haruka, who is somebody who doesn't have any particularly large talent. She's not leaning in one particular direction of any sort of skill that she has. She has the very unattainable dream of being a princess. And I find it interesting that Uta here at this part in the episode was like, yo, I don't know what I want. And I was like, girl, you sing. Would you not want something along the lines of singing? You sing all the time. I'm surprised that that's just not like, you don't kind of puzzle piece in there, since you do have a skill, compared to other seasons where the main character usually doesn't have some kind of skill. You do have a skill. You are good at singing, and you like to do singing. I'm surprised that wasn't like the automatic career direction, but we get into it. I think it's really adorable that she immediately lands on this idea of like, oh, I want to work at the shop with mom and dad. I think this is really cute. I also severely relate to this because when I was a kid and I had like the dream that I wanted to have, and then the dream that I thought was practical was I was going to take over my dad's business. And I don't think they ever really sat down with me in the same way that they do in this episode, where we literally have Uta's mother encourage her to have like other aspirations and not just settle. But my parents did encourage me when I ultimately wanted to be an artist, which was surprising. They were like, you don't, like, at first they were like, do you really want to be an artist? But by the time, like, I hardcore went down the artist path in college, they were like, okay, she do be wanting to be an artist. And so I feel this. It's very interesting to just see, especially from the perspective of like a Japanese kids show, that they sat there and have the mother telling her daughter, hey girl, have aspirations, have a dream, do something more than just like what is convenient. And I thought that was cute. But man, did this shake Uta to her core. Miss Ma'am did not really truly sleep last night. Her REM cycle was going nuts. I think it's hilarious that she was like, there's so many different jobs I could have out there. How could I really just settle on one? It felt very Hugato there. Also, I meant to say this earlier, but the visuals in this episode are very fun. It's going to be more of an A-team that works on something like this being the group attack episode. But I really like how fun the art is in this episode, and the animation is better, but I'll get to that. Back to the story, we have Nana and Kokoro coach Uta on all the different things that she could be, and they come up with all these different, like, career choices, to which Uta is very excited about all of them, which I think is cute. I think that's like one of the sweetest bits of this series, is that she genuinely doesn't look negatively at any sort of job. She can see the optimism in pretty much any career, and I love that. I think that's great too for just like children, where you don't have her be like, ew, no, I wouldn't want to be this job. Like, they typically avoid that in shows like this, or they just don't talk about it at all. I like that Uta is, like, insanely enthusiastic. Again, it's very, very Hugato to me. But the thing that doesn't make any sense to me is that they, like, the time passes, the sky changes colors. I'm like, did you guys skip your whole school day and just sit out in the courtyard and go through jobs? I'm assuming they did this after school, but I like to think that they just skip class to help Uta figure out what her dream is. And then we have what I think is probably the piece de resistance for this episode for me, where they hit her with the, why don't you just be an idol? Like, that's a career choice. And her sort of denying this, because I was like, girl, was this not just going to be the option you chose? But I love that she, like, hesitates and then proceeds to say that the reason why she doesn't want that to be her aspiration and why she doesn't have this, like, enthusiastic reaction to it is because she already is there. She's like, but I'm pure idol. Isn't a dream something that you want to work for? Isn't it something you want to obtain? I've already kind of achieved that. Which I think is so, like, true, though. Because at the beginning of the series, I don't remember if I talked about it or not. I might have just talked about it with friends. But she wanted to sing. She had this desire inside of her. And then she became an idol. Like, technically speaking, she's already there. They're already having brand deals. Like, technically speaking, dream checkbox achieved. And so for her to be like, no, I want to find something that, like, I haven't done. I haven't, like, something I can work towards. And that's, again, this is where I feel like it does such a good job. Like, Precure as a whole does such a good job at covering plot lines that we've covered before, but handling it in a different way that still keeps it entertaining. Because this is essentially what we have with Go Princess, where you have somebody like Haruka who wants to achieve this dream, and she spends her whole season working towards it, like making concrete steps towards a dream that she wants and tasks that she wants to be able to achieve. And Uta kind of has that same mentality. Like, it kind of, despite being very different with the way that they initially start out, it's kind of merging together where she's like, I want something to work towards. I don't want something that I've already accomplished, you know? And I love that. Like, they both are reaching a very similar conclusion, but in very different ways. I adore that to bits. Love the writing here. In the meantime, we go to our villains, who are also another thing I love about this episode. They got pretty creative with how they handled the villains. And it's exciting to see them shake up the formula. We also learned that Cuddy got their CD. He got their album. I guess he bought it in stores. This is hilarious. But nonetheless, the villains are about to shake up the formula, and I love it. But now we take a Kaito break. This dude just be anywhere. But I will say his presence in here did not, like, it actually had some merit. Like, whatever he was doing last time, he just was there. He had to be remembered as a character. But at least he said something very useful this episode, which is sometimes you don't need to sit there and, like, have a dream. It doesn't need to, like, just, boom, you've got it, dream. It's something we gotta figure out right now. Sometimes it just comes to you very naturally. I definitely think it's a great lesson to give to kids or anyone in general, which is, like, if something's not clicking, you don't need to force it. Unless it's like a task that you need to accomplish with like some urgency. If it's like, you know, passing a test or like doing work for a job, obviously that stuff you gotta get done. But when it comes to something more broad, like dreams or personal sort of identities and stuff, you can just take your time with that and see what comes instead of trying to force it out. So I actually liked this bit here. In the meantime, Okirine finally joins them in battle, which it's so interesting because I thought when she was going to be in this episode that we just get to see her, but instead we get 3 bosses today, and all of them like attack at the same time. It's very interesting. I wonder if she'll eventually, I assume she'll get her own summoning animation and she'll have like her solo, but like her attitude, I like it. Because we're used to seeing, like, the villains have, like, the one boss character who just gets increasingly angry that they're not defeating they're not defeating the cures. And it's kind of exhausting. She's like, you guys need results, but she's not super duper upsetty spaghetti. And then she actively joined them this episode. I like it. It just feels fresh. And we at least get to see her little chop pose. In the meantime, we have our girls transform as a full group. Unfortunately, we do not seem to have a group transformation. I don't know if that's on the grounds that, like, we're saving it until post-mid-season, or unfortunately, I think Precure has kind of retired having group transformations, which bums me out. And this may just be the most we see of a group transformation. I like the frames, they're okay. In terms of group transformations, it's not, like, the best. It's not the most impressive, but it's something. It's something, it's more than nothing. Ooh, and then we start to get Wink. Oh, girl. She does her shield, and it works the first time, and I was like, cool, 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 cool. And then it breaks. Ooh. You know, the shield curse does not let up. The shield curse is a cruel mistress, unless you're Cure Butterfly. And honestly, so talking about the animation again, this is something that kind of, like, bums me out, but at the same time, effort's being put in. The monsters have really good animation. The girls, not really. They kind of just are there this episode when it comes to, like, transforming and fighting. The girls just be there. All the monsters have really good animation, and I've noticed that with seasons that I guess it just depends on the animator, but some animators seem to just love doing the monsters. Whatever the monster of the week is, they're like, dude, it is time for me to create my portfolio piece. I like wish they cared. I think it's just because the girls are like so much harder to draw. They have so many details. Like, they're such a pain to animate. But God, I would love it. I would love it if they were animated and not the monsters. But yeah, the monsters have all the animation this week. The animation is here. It's given to the baddies. But, as I said before, we have Kokoro playing more of a role at the top of the episode. This is where Wing comes into shine. Specifically, the girls get led away by the monsters and get divided. And Wink very much picks up immediately. She's like, that's not good. We cannot be doing that. We should not be separating. We should be united. Or at least communicating. And they use the headset, which I think is really clever. I'm so glad that they made use of that. So I love that she was more hands-on for this fight and very helpful. I think, again, such a good balance that they had Kokoro be more relevant before and then have Wink be useful here and have, like, a lot of input for the fight. It's just good writing. Really like it. And then we bring it back to our girl, Idol, who ultimately reveals that she has decided what her dream is. And her dream is to be together with these girls and be Idol Precure, which kind of is like something you could work for, which you can work towards being a group that's stronger and defeats the enemy, so I guess that makes sense. It's definitely more of like, this is a magical girl show. We're gonna have a magical girl show kind of cop-out answer. But you know what? I'm watching a magical girl show for a reason. Heaven forbid magical girlies just be a little magical girly. And then when they do this whole run that I think is very cute with the different like colored flowers with the purple, the pink, and the blue, and it matches the opening shot. I like that visual that they had here. I don't remember this garden being here prior to them running in it, but you know, pop off queens. And then they take their stand as we finally have our group attack. Now, there was no item that was sold. We would have known if there was going to be a group attack weapon, and they didn't sell anything. So we knew that whatever is going to happen here is not going to be like merchandisably intense. And there is a little bit of recycling. We end up having the ending theme 1 specifically, being their song and sort of like quote unquote attack for the segment, which I think is a good way of just recycling stuff that they have. Like, from a production standpoint, they don't have to redo the animations. It's the ending theme dance song animations just on this stage rather than in the ending theme. And then obviously we don't have to write a new song. Kind of was hoping for a new song, but at the same time, I didn't even notice that the title was straight up just the ending song. The ending song is not my absolute fave, so I think that's part of the reason why I'm like, it could have been something else, but you know, I'm not surprised it's this. And they do a pretty solid job. It works out for what it needs to be. And then, of course, because we have no item, they just do the whole, like, hands in the air, and then our symbols show up, and then we use it as a blast. Which, the blast is pretty. I give it that the blast is pretty. And speaking of pretty, the prettiest shots of this whole attack are all the stupid blink and you miss it moments that kills me every time. Like, the prettiest shots for every single attack across the franchise is in a, like, singular frame that is a blink and you miss it moment. Like, honestly, look through every frame of Cure Finale's attack and tell me that she doesn't look so good in there. And again, you're gonna miss it. You're gonna miss it if you don't, like, pause and then just, like, click through every single frame of that. It looks so pretty, and it's so fast so you don't notice how gorgeous it is. Oh, look at them. They're so good. They even have, like, blur around the rim to just add to that, like, drama of the image. It's so nice. And the fabric movement with the hair movement, with the glow, with the colors and the harsher shadows, the shadows with a gradient. Oh, it's an artist's dream. They look good. They look so good for this attack, and you just, oh, it's so quick. It's so quick and you miss it. And then the pose is the pose. The pose is only going to be what level of quality it is because you have to get the whole body in there. But it always bums me out that the poses look like that. But the attack looked like this. Yeah, the pose. It's alright. Like, in terms of their, like, actual poses, they're cute. Like, physically, they're cute. The art is the best you're gonna get for a full body image. And then our villains leave for the day, which, again, surprised she's not angrier. Surprised she's not more upset about the situation, but she's like, gonna have to regroup and rethink. I also wonder if this means moving forward, we're gonna continue to have this trio boss. I feel like no, because that's gotta be a pain to animate, but I'd like that they've changed the way that we normally handle things. This feels like we kind of mixed stuff up. I haven't really... I mean, I'm sure we've seen this more recently than something like Heartcatch, but Heartcatch, like, the last time I remember all of the, like, current generals coming out and having a whole fight. But even then, that was when we got Moonlight. But that's not all on this super solid episode. We see that the lovely little heart tree gives bloom to a peach, which, you know, we had 1,001 questions of how this was going to go about. And I can say that none of them were this. I didn't realize that these peaches, like, literally blossom into existence and then have the little fairies that they carry. Didn't know that was a thing. But nonetheless, it's time. We have all been waiting for Melodon! I'm so happy that she's here! Also, like, I know I mentioned a while ago that, like, she confirmed Puridoon's gender as being a girl because she referred to Puridoon as, like, her sister. But, like, when she said sister before, that's just kind of, like, a Japanese formality thing to call somebody your sister. So we were like, oh, that's just kind of like, you know, older sis bestie. No, it sounds like they're, like, legitimately sisters. Like, actual for real sisters. And Puridoon is somehow older. That's crazy. It's crazy. Also, I don't know why we didn't see that coming. I don't know why I didn't see that coming specifically. Maybe you knew. Maybe you knew and I didn't. I'm silly. But I'm so glad she's here. So we end on such a good note. And then we'll get to see more next week. I'm actually very excited. I love the pacing we've had so far. Pretty solid episode for our attack. I don't know. It's been really solid. It's been good. I'm enjoying it. I hope you have been too. And I actually will not see you next week. The episode 12 will be a bit delayed because I will be traveling and I will not have any access to my recording setup while traveling. So, because I'm traveling for quite some time, I think this will be out, like, episode 12, obviously not this Thursday, but maybe the following Thursday. I need to make sure I do it. I have to, like, I'm gonna get home so late. And then I'm gonna be like, no, I need to record. And I need to edit. I gotta dig deep and get this out. So either Thursday or Friday, not this coming week, but the following week, we will get an episode. I'm so sorry for the delays, but travel is travel. But until then, I will see you next time. Bye-bye!